Now, in the next segment, it is my absolute pleasure to call on stage Taranveer from TechM. TechM is a very strategic partner of ours, and it's a privilege to have Taranveer with us on stage. Taranveer, can you join me on stage, please?
Thanks very much. Thank you for hosting us, Sam. Thank you, Rohan, for the inspiring talk. Absolutely brilliant the way Scout is changing the business, and that's what we've been seeing. Before we actually deep dive into some of the things that I want to talk about, let's talk about this partnership. We're a platinum partner for Scout, Soroco, and what we're trying to build with Soroco is trying to drive a lot of synergies, not only within our internal organization, where we utilize the technology to drive our own benefits, but then we take it down to our customers and drive benefits for themselves. Right? And that is the most brilliant part about technology. That's what we believed when we started on this journey. We were one of the first adopters with Soroco, trying to build it from ground up and say, how can we utilize this and take it to our customers? So it is absolutely a privilege. But before I go into a bit more deep dive of what we do with Soroco, how do we do, let me just introduce the organization to you. Yeah, we're part of a larger group called the Mahindra Group, which you see on your screen right now. It's the claim to fame is we are the largest tractor manufacturer in the world, right? The number one in the world on tractor manufacturing. But then there are a whole bunch of services, businesses that this group runs. And within that group, Tech Mahindra is a $6.5 billion IT plus BPO organization, where we look at a synergy of both IT organizations, systems, technologies, frameworks, and the BPO world, which brings in people, processes, and delivery customer experience across to our customers. Our BPO world is roughly around 75,000 people, with about 20,000 of them bots. And when we say bots, these are automation technologies that we partner with and drive experience for our customers. And that is the core of what Genesis of our BPO does. We believe in the fundamental model of transforming customer experience, and that can only be done if we synergize both the technology, the people, and the process all together. And that's where that Genesis comes from, and that's been our mantra, which has made us the fastest growing BPO in the last 3 years, consistently year on year. Now let's talk about what made us choose Soroco as the right platform for us and utilize them to become a platinum partner. The principle was very simple. We wanted to go to our customers and we wanted to take internal look into our own ecosystem and figure out how can we drive improvements. And that was the principle of driving and working with Soroco to say what kind of use cases can I develop, which kind of customers can we go to. So what did we end up doing? We invested alongside with Soroco. We said, okay, let's go ahead and start building a team of Soroco specialists who can drive transformation for our customers and drive transformation for ourselves. So 100 plus Soroco Academy certifications where consultants are working day in and day out, looking at processes way down from the frontline operations of contact center operations to the back office operations, downright to finance accounting, GPS centers, shared service centers. Building an ecosystem of people who are not only experts in the domain, but also they're experts in the technology to drive those efficiencies. We've scouted roughly about 100 plus teams over the last 1 year, where we've gone through multitude of services, multitude of processes and functions, and said, okay, what do we find out of them? What kind of benefits do we drive out of them? And I'll talk about a few customers who've actually benefited from doing all of this work. But one of the things that Samson mentioned and Rohan also mentioned is the acceleration and the velocity of doing the work. We were able to drive more than 50% efficiency or twice the efficiency of doing our transition work from moving one work from one place to another. We were able to automate functions where the speed and accuracy of those transactions were significantly faster than what we would have traditionally done. And that's the power of bringing in the technology alongside with the services that we deliver. But while we were doing that, there was another key thing that we realized, that it's not only about using the technology, but we have to adopt and bespoke the technology on its own. Because otherwise, our customers' environments are different. Our environment is completely different. And we need to bring blocks and chunks of separate IPs that we can build on the platform. And that's what we've been doing. We've been looking at applications. Samson mentioned about SAP as an example. We talked about Oracle as an example, where we're going through those processes and improving those processes. What we're looking at, rationalizing multiple use cases within those functions as well. And that was one of the keys to unlock the door of those interaction data that you've heard about before. That interaction data is the key to drive all of those efficiencies that you were talking about earlier. What has that ended up to? That's ended up to driving almost 3 times the value to our customers, where we've been able to save them not only time to transfer services, time not only to improve process efficiencies, but also improve their margin and eventually leading to what you call as increasing their revenue and saving a significant amount of cost as a part of the entire process. Now, in our journey so far, and I talked about it a little bit, we started off very nascently with data-led assignments. Consultancy as a service, we were trying to understand the platform, we were trying to understand how we can deploy the platform, how can we utilize the platform, how can we utilize the ongoing technology, and what kind of feedback can we give as customers back into Soroco so that it helps them to understand the real world problems that we face. And that was the beauty of the partnership, because we were able to not only utilize the service and the platform, but we were also able to give it back to Soroco and say, this is something that is challenging us. Can you solve this problem for us? And that's where they helped a lot. We also looked at how do we improve the engagement. And the next step was, how do we improve engagements and start helping our customers driving better margins for them? How can I reduce that cost? And it's not only about reducing the amount of time taken to do a work, but it also is about making sure that the accuracy and the repetition of those functions, processes that all of our teams do it on a daily basis, all of that adds up to that cost that you spend to deliver the service. And that's where we started to focus on. Let's try and deliver a better cost to serve margin for our customers. While we were doing this, one of the things that really came out very clearly to us was the interaction data that we get. Processes, functions are linked across the entire customer journey, from the point of origin to the point of exit of any single transaction that needs to happen. That could be an order that comes in and eventually reaching out to shipping and delivered, or it could be somebody talking to a customer and figuring out how to solve the customer's problem to the end. All of these involve significant amount of processes which are interlinked to each other. So we wanted to figure out how do we improve that user experience, not only for the end user who's involved in a process, a customer who calls us, or a customer who deals on a transaction with us, but how do we help our own folks who are servicing the customer to make their life easier? So it was a two-pronged strategy to start harmonizing the processes from both sides. That led to a significant amount of improvement in our quality assurance, which meant we were more accurate, we were more timely, we did not have to re-edit, recheck, redo our records of transaction. We did not have to go back and revisit our interactions with our customers because we knew the quality was absolute. And that gave a lot of focus to our customers who wanted better compliance, who wanted better adherence, with the likeliness of various laws coming into effect. When you go into the banking industry, when you go into the telecom industry, or when you go into the fintech industry, all of those industries have a significant amount of compliance requirements, adherence to laws, rules, regulations. And we wanted to make sure that utilizing this platform, we could attain and manage and control those kind of interactions. Eventually leading to 3 fundamental things. Employee experience, people who are actually doing the job. Can I make their life easier? Does it make their life simpler? If their life is simpler, it leads to CX, which is our customer experience. because they're the ones who are eventually the revenue generators for our organizations, right? Which eventually leads to the third thing, which is I think the most important, is the brand experience. When the customer touches you, you touch the customer, each and every moment, you're able to drive all three positive aspects, leading to a better brand experience. So that journey gave us a significant amount of confidence. But how did we manifest that in a few case notes? And I'll talk about a few of them. This is a large UK-based telco. When we started talking to them about transforming a process, a function, and we as a part of our BPO industry were trying to take over some work from them. We realized there was no documentation. Samsung touched about, SOP creation, they were all over the place. Efficiency leakages were outright, we could see them, but we couldn't identify where those leakages were. So we said, okay, where do we start? So we started to look at what kind of processes are currently functioning, how the data is connected end to end. What we realized was between a function of productivity between an SME, who's subject matter expert, and a standard user, who's not an expert but probably just joined the business, right? There was a significant amount of automation potential to make a standard user's life as good as an SME's life. Because everything is tacit knowledge for an SME. How do you bring that tacit knowledge out from the mind and give it to the person who's just joined in and give it to them in their hands? So when we tried to fix that problem, we realized we ended up achieving about 30% effort reduction in any transaction that they were able to do. We streamlined those processes. We made sure that we were able to drive consistent process regardless it's an SME who's working on it or it's a standard user. What you've essentially given a standard user is a power of an SME, just by giving them ability to understand data better, just by giving them an ability to understand the entire process together. In another scenario, similarly for a large e-commerce player, we were doing a lot of checks and balances around how do we optimize cost. And this is a case of where we are doing transactional work, and we realized, there is a lot more wastage happening, and we could improve significant amount of margin effort for our customer and cost to serve for our customer. So again, we looked at what kind of productivity a SME does or an expert does in the function, and how do standard users bring that function together. What we ended up realizing was the variance of the productivity was roughly 3.5 times a person would be faster to do that job. And we were able to automate that to about 55%, roughly 55% automation that we put in, just by reducing 40% of leading to about 40% reduction in training throughput. That means anyone who got trained on a function was already much more efficient because we simplified the process using Soroco. We made sure that the processes that they end up with are simpler to understand. Why are they happening in the first place? What bottlenecks are they traditionally supposed to get found? And if those bottlenecks are there, what kind of solutions are we solving for them? And that essentially gave us a significant amount of confidence. It was one of the first two projects that we started off, and there are many more that we got on to. But I'll talk about the last one, which I think is slightly different from the others. Right? This is an insurance company based in the US. Very, very complex processes. Anybody who comes in, starts processing them, they realize, oh my God, I've gotten into a mess. I don't understand where I need to go left. Do I need to go right? Why do I need to do this? Why do I need to do it in a certain fashion? So we started using Scout to understand the variations in those functions, variations in those processes. We realized that there is a self-service optimization potential there in the process itself. People don't need to answer all the questions on their own. The process, the automation functions should be able to automate and fully allow an end customer to self-service themselves. 30% of that fundamental potential was found in those process functions. 85% reduction was achieved as a part of driving self-service. Now, out of the 100 queries, only 15 queries came to a human agent trying to solve that problem, which is brilliant for the customer, right? But it's brilliant for us as well. We are still processing the 100 transactions, but I'm only using 15% of my effort to process those transactions. That's a significant amount of savings for me, but that's the gain share that I pass on to my customer. So I chose to make sure that my customer and myself, we take 50% of the gain share between ourselves. It's a win-win for both. And that is exactly how we started looking at all the other programs that we are now utilizing Scout and the Soroco platform in. But what's next for us, right? We said this is our journey. We've gotten there. We've done some of these things. They've been working brilliantly for us. But what's next? We believe in the platform. We believe in the Soroco story. So we are investing into the platform significantly. We want to take the platform at least to 5 times to the coverage of our customers what coverage is today. We want to go out there, we want to invest with Soroco, we want to make sure we can drive those benefits. On what we spend with Soroco, we're looking at least 10x over the next 1 year, because we are utilizing that platform across our customers. We believe that we have an internal business case to drive benefits if we utilize the Soroco platform sincerely. We're also adding roughly about 5 times the trained number of resources. We have a COE now, a Center of Excellence, which dedicates itself on driving Soroco consultants across the board. So if my client needs it, my consultants are available. Internal projects need them, consultants are available. We're able to train them, we're able to model them, we're able to make sure that they are spread across multiple domains, be it telecom, be it retail, manufacturing, BFSI, fintech, etc. All domains, all of them have people who understand the platform, who understand the technology, but more importantly, they understand the business of their end customers. And that's exactly what we want to focus on. Our focus is to drive 3 outcomes. Make sure we increase NPS. So we want to directly correlate how much of NPS we can actually impact based on simply utilizing the platform and driving benefits. And then, fundamentally for the business, at least 3% margin improvement across business functions, across processes that we want to drive for our customers. Right? And we're utilizing, as I mentioned earlier, IPs within SAP, within other ERP applications. We're building our own IP across the platform to utilize them into specific. So you could pick that in retail, take from one customer to another customer and replicate. And there is a significant amount of innovation that we're working with the Soroco team at the core, doing SAP, Oracle migration, UX testing, going into finance and accounting services, looking at everything around the application portfolio management, essentially hitting the mark with the end consumer on where it hurts for them and solving that problem for them. So bring that entire ecosystem, and as I said earlier, bring the IT, the process, the people, the tech, and the platform all together to drive a significant amount of experience for our customers. And with that, I'll say thank you. Thank you so much for listening to me, and happy to answer. I'm around, and if there are any questions you might want to know, want to understand, happy to help you out. Thank you.